Hello there and good evening. You're now with me, Lorenzo Ezek, for TVS English News at 5. Let us begin with some top stories for today. Day 4 after the election, and there's still no confirmation on who is to become the next Prime Minister. This comes as 30 BN Member of Parliaments as well as Gabungan Party Sarawak GPS representatives were summoned before the King at Istana Negara this morning. Our colleague Douglas Elliott with the update.
Thank you, Lorenzo. Day 4 of post GE15, and it's all quiet over at the Perikatan Nationals front. I'm currently, me as well as the rest of the media camp, as you can see behind me, we are currently at the residential area of Perikatan Nationals Chairman Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin in Bukit Damansara, where we have been here since 8 a.m. this morning. And what I can tell you is that based on observation, compared to the past 3 days as well, there have been less movements of vehicles coming in and out of the residential area. However, earlier this morning, a car believed to be carrying Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin was seen leaving the area at around 9:50 a.m. and returned 2 hours later at around 11:55 a.m. Later in the afternoon as well, we saw a lorry carrying canopy and catering trucks were also seen entering the residential area. While it's not confirmed, it is believed that Muhyiddin will be holding a prayer session or a Solat Hajat later this evening. Nonetheless, at around 3:30 p.m. just now, the attention shifted from Istana Negara to St. Regis, where it's believed that caretaker Prime Minister Dr. Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob as well as the rest of the Barisan Nasional leaders arrived amid rumours of meeting with Perikatan Nasional. Now, what I can tell you is that it's still a long way to go to find out who will be our next Prime Minister, as tomorrow His Majesty the King will have an audience with all the Malay rulers to get the opinion on the appointment of Malaysia's next Prime Minister. Nonetheless, do stay tuned with us right here on TVS as we bring you the latest development from a location. Douglas Elliott and Faiz Zulkifli, TVS Kuala Lumpur.
Thank you, Douglas, for the updates. Now, moving on to the next news. The Sarawak Timber Industry Development Corporation Amendment Bill 2022 was unanimously passed at the State Legislative Assembly, Dun sitting on Wednesday after it was debated in the August House. Deputy Minister of Urban Planning, Land Administration and Environment, Datuk Len Talif Saleh, who tabled the bill, said the bill seeks to amend the Sarawak Timber Industry Corporation Ordinance 1973 to improve provisions in the management of the timber industry in Sarawak through the issuance of timber industry licenses to enable Sarawak Timber Industry Development Corporation STIDC to fully regulate the timber industry.
The amendment bill includes the establishment and operation of sawmills, which was previously regulated under the Forest Ordinance 2015, Chapter 71, adding that the bill also seeks to add provision to enhance the enforcement powers under the STIDC Ordinance.
The main amendments sought for in this bill are the following. A. The introduction of timber industry license to replace the requirement of registration for timber industry. B. The introduction of new provision on the temporary permit to operate as a temporary measures to facilitate the timber industry pending the issuance of the timber industry license or for domestic use. C. The introduction of penalty provision for illegal operation of timber mill and other illegal activities in breach of the term and condition of the timber industry license or temporary permit to operate. D. The introduction of provision on cancellation or suspension of timber industry license. And E. The enhancement and strengthening of enforcement power under the ordinance.
On the timber industry license, Len Talif stated that the bill seeks to empower the general manager to issue the license on such terms and conditions as may be prescribed by the general manager. Currently, STIDC issues certificate of registration pursuant to the STIDC Ordinance and Sawmill License through delegation of power by the Director of Forest under the Forest Ordinance 2015, Chapter 71. He said this amendment will delete the provisions relating to issuance of certificate of registration and replace it with provisions which empower the general manager of STIDC to issue timber industry license on such terms and conditions as may be imposed by him.
This timber industry license would be the sole license issued by STIDC for timber industry activities, including the establishment, building and operating of sawmill. This is intended to clearly demark the role, duties and responsibility between STIDC, Forest Department and Sarawak Forestry Corporation, SFC, thus streamlining the function of these three agencies under the ministry. The issuance of timber industry license will be a more holistic regulating mechanism to regulate the timber industry in Sarawak.
The Commercial Settlement Agreement (CSA) signed between the state government and Petroleum Nasional Berhad enables Sarawak to increase its revenue from oil and gas industry produced in Sarawak. Deputy Minister in the Premier's Department, Law, MA63, State Federal Relations, Datuk Sharifah Hasidah Said Aman Ghazali said it also allowed Sarawak and the local companies to have greater participation in the oil and gas industry, both at upstream and downstream activities, as well as to secure adequate gas supply to support the Sarawak Gas Master Plan. She said the principal objectives of the CSA will be realized through a consultative framework comprising high-level representatives from the state government, Petronas and Petroleum Sarawak Berhad, or most commonly known as Petros.
Sharifah Hasidah said the principal objectives of the CSA would be realized through a consultative framework comprising high-level representatives from the state government, Petronas and Petroleum Sarawak Berhad.
The Commercial Settlement Agreement, CSA, contains a binding confidentiality clause which forbids the state government revealing the terms thereof. After the CSA was signed, the state government has taken control of all oil mining activities in the onshore areas of Sarawak and issued mining leases and oil exploration licenses to Petros.
Sharifah Hasidah was responding to a question from Batu Lintang Assemblyman C. Chi Hao during the third day of the 19th State Legislative Assembly Dune sitting on Wednesday, November 23rd. Furthermore, she said that Petros has been allowed to acquire equity interest in a number of offshore areas under Petroleum Sharing Contracts (PSCS), and for new exploration areas, carried interests were open to Petros.
These opportunities are not available to Sarawak and Petros before the CSA was signed. A memorandum of understanding has also been signed between Petros and Petronas, whereby Petronas would make available to the state 1,200 million standard cubic feet per day mascaf of natural gas by 2030 to support domestic industries both in the power and non-power sectors.
For the record, Petros has become the aggregator of gas supply to industries in Miri and Bintulu, and the company is working towards becoming the sole distributor of liquefied petroleum gas in the state.
Welcome back. Sarawak is optimistic on achieving its target of becoming a net food exporter of food by the year 2030. This was said by Deputy Minister of Food Industry, Commodities and Regional Development, Datuk Dr. Abdul Rahman Ismail.
To reach this target, Abdul Rahman Ismail said the Sarawak Ministry of Food Industry, Commodities and Regional Development has undertaken a few approaches, including focusing on high-value and commercial agri-food products.
Bidang pertanian telah menjadi antara fokus utama dalam Post-COVID Development Strategy 2030, PCDS 2030, yang tadinya bermatlamat menjadikan Sarawak sebagai net food exporter menjelang tahun 2030. Yang kedua, meningkatkan penglibatan sektor swasta di bawah model perniagaan PPCP, Public, Private and Community Partnership, yang mana pihak swasta akan membantu dari segi untuk membeli dan memasarkan, petani untuk mengeluarkan, dan ini juga boleh dimainkan Pertubuhan Peladang Negeri Sarawak dan juga PPK boleh juga memainkan peranan sebegini. Yang ketiga, meningkatkan penyelidikan, pembangunan dan inovasi, R&D, penggunaan teknologi moden dan digital di sepanjang rantaian nilai pengeluaran, the whole supply chain. Dan yang keempat, membangun dan menaik taraf infrastruktur pertanian dan mengembangkan kawasan pengeluaran agromakanan.
He said this in response to a question posed by Meluan Assemblyman Roland Dwajubin during the Legislative Assembly sitting at Dun Complex in Kuching today. For the record, in the year 2017, exports were valued at 1.02 billion ringgit compared to imports valued at 4.61 billion ringgit, incurring a deficit of 3.59 billion ringgit. Meanwhile, in 2021, exports were valued at 1.11 billion ringgit compared to imports valued at 5.77 billion, resulting in a higher deficit of 4.66 billion.
Ini menjadikan defisit meningkat. Pada 2017, defisit adalah ringgit Malaysia 3.59 bilion, meningkat kepada 4.66 bilion pada tahun 2021, iaitu peningkatan hampir 30%.
In connection to this, Abdul Rahman Ismail said there are 3 types of agriculture crops that could be developed on a large scale in Meluan.
Oleh itu, untuk memperkembangkan industri ini, MFICOT akan mengenal pasti sektor swasta yang berpotensi untuk menerajui pembangunan industri agromakanan melalui model perniagaan Public-Private Community Partnership. Antara tanaman agromakanan yang berpotensi untuk dibangun di kawasan Dewan Undangan Negeri Meluan secara komersial dan berskala besar adalah nanas, pisang dan juga durian.
See the world closer with TVS as we bring you the latest news updates both locally and internationally. Just head on to our official website at tvstv.my or follow us on our social media platforms. And don't forget to catch our comprehensive discussion with invited analysts and experts on the topic post GE15, the process of the formation of a government of unity. That's all the time we have for TVS News at 5. I'm Lorenzo Isaac. Thank you for watching.